What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and I've got a quick video for you today about what I think is the best long-range loadout for the Kastov 74U. Now, this weapon's typically not used for that purpose. It's a close to medium range weapon, but perhaps you're trying to get the daily challenges or go for the platinum camo, which I have here, in which you need to rack up a bunch of long shots really quickly. So I think I've got the attachments to maximize this. Let's dive in. But first, download Gemstone Legends, a mobile RPG puzzle match game. Use the link in the description to start with free stuff, including a bonus hero. Alright, so clearly the Kastov 74U is one of the best weapons in Modern Warfare 2. It has a bunch of strengths. It is meant for close combat. It's very quick and snappy, but it's still an assault rifle, so it's powerful too. And it can hit at long range if you build it right. Now, the one weakness about this weapon is it is a little bouncy, so it's hard to control that recoil, and really good players are going to be able to control that manually, but most players are going to need a little help with that, so that's what today's attachments are really going to focus on doing, while maintaining the speed of the weapon, the aim down the sight speed, and the sprint to fire speed, and things like that. So we're going to find attachments that control the recoil, but then fine tune it to hold on to the speed. Let's take a look at what I have chosen here. So first up, we have the Kazan Hollow. Now I chose this because it's got better zoom than, for example, the Cronin Red Dot here that a lot of people like to use on this one, and I like to use typically for this weapon. But I'm going with the Kazan Hollow because you get really nice zoom. Modern Warfare 2 maps are like very cozy and small, and so you don't need much zoom. But the great thing about this particular sight is that it doesn't have a glint. So you're zooming in a little bit like a type of sniper sight. It's not really, but you're zooming in better than the Cronin Mini Red Dot, and you're not giving away your position with any kind of glint. This sight should be perfectly fine for anybody on any map to be able to hit at any distance. So I think in this one particular circumstance, this is the best sight for this. However, most of the time I'm going to use the Cronin Mini Red Dot. Some people are going to be able to hit it long range with that, but I just think that the Kazan Hollow is better for this particular purpose. Taking a look at the tuning now. I did a video on advanced tuning techniques. I'm not going to go into all of that right now, but I am going to show you what I tended to favor here. To get back some of that aim down the sight speed, I really went heavily in that direction here, and that's because I got a lot of aim down the sight speed back without hurting the flinch resistance too much. And also because I favor the ASD more than flinch resistance. Hopefully you're seeing enemies first and shooting them first and killing them before they have a chance to hit you back, especially if you're going for long distance where hopefully they're further away. Now, I did have a tough choice between the barrel and the stock. I talked about this in my other video about the best overall build for the 74U, but basically the barrels in this particular build are not great. They really punish a lot of the stats without gaining much as far as pros go. Now, I would probably use this BR209 barrel in more of close range combat, quick one. You know, make sure you're subscribed because I will do a more close range run and gun build. But for this purpose, I didn't feel like any of the barrels were really helping me. They were oftentimes making it too slow or hurting the recoil control and that kind of thing, which is why I went with the FT TAC Elite stock. And the reason is because we got some of the recoil control backs, and now you can see this is a much more balanced weapon with something like this, because although it's hurting mobility a little bit through the aim down the sight speed and the crouch movement speed, it is improving the recoil. You can see on the little stat chart here that recoil control is like kind of low on this particular weapon, so we've got it back to pretty much balanced with this. As far as the tuning goes, I went all the way to aim down the sight speed on this one instead of aim walking steadiness, and that really is helping us to get that speed back. And then also I went a little towards aiming idle stability instead of aim walking speed, only because I was actually able to move it in this direction without hurting the aim walking speed like at all. So I thought that that was helpful. All right, as far as the muzzle goes, the Echoless 80 is a really cool muzzle. I chose this one because look at all the positives we get out of it, and you can see big green bars being improved as far as damage, range, accuracy, and recoil. This might be the best attachment on this particular weapon for this particular purpose. We do hurt the aim down the sight speed again and aiming stability, but look at all the green we get. It does hurt the handling, but not as much as the benefit that we get out of it. So when I go to tune it, what I tend to do is favor recoil smoothness, because I was able to pull that bar up a bit away from aim down the sight speed. Now, typically I'd be choosing aim down the sight speed, but it like didn't hurt the aim down the sight speed all that much, moving it up this way. In fact, if you move it in the other direction, and I'll kind of show you, if you move in the other direction, you don't really gain much aim down the sight speed. You really have to max it out to get any kind of aim down the sight speed, but then you're really hurting recoil more than anything doing that. So I felt like it was more helpful to get, like, look at all of that recoil control we get back. So we didn't lose much aim down the sight speed, and we got a lot of recoil control. That's why I did that in particular. And then also I was able to move it towards bullet velocity and get better range out of this weapon without hurting the aim idle stability. You can see here, look at that. Absolutely no movement in the aim idle stability. So we were able to get range without hurting our accuracy. Okay, moving on to the underbarrel, I chose the VX Pineapple. This is one of my favorite attachments for almost any build because of the recoil control that we get. It does hurt the hip walking speed and the aim down the sight speed, but again, look at all the benefits. The benefits outweigh any of the negatives we get here. I wouldn't necessarily always use this one for every build. In fact, you know, there's a few builds I can think of where I would probably want to go with one of these, even though you don't get as much benefit. Like, there's not nearly as much hurt to the handling, for example, or the mobility. But for this weapon, we're not running and gunning with it. Again, we're going long range, and look how much recoil control and accuracy we get out of this one. And, you know, once again, what I try to do is get aim down the sight speed back. So I've moved it heavily in that direction. And I was able to move hip recoil control up without hurting too much hip walking speed. And that is going to make it so that if we do get in close range combat, you can just hip fire and kill pretty easily. Your gun's not going to be bouncing all over the place. Lastly, as far as the attachments go, we have the Ivanov ST70 grip. And when I click on this one here, we got some nice accuracy out of this. We got some of our handling back on it, and we really don't hurt pretty much anything else, which is why I went with this one. And as far as the tuning goes, again, getting the ASD back. And then sprint to fire speed. I think it was really important to get this back. Now, typically I max this one out in most builds. I slide it all the way to the sprint to the fire speed side. But since we're trying to do a more long range build here, I really didn't want to hurt the aiming idle stability. So I only went over as far enough as I was able to like get benefit, but not hurt the aiming idle stability. So you can see that there. All right, let's test this out in the firing range and see how it fires now. First, I'm going to do hip fire at close range. Hopefully I didn't hurt that too bad. Then I'm going to do automatic fire at medium range, and then some like single or burst fire at long range to see if I was able to improve that accuracy and recoil control. So first up, hip firing. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and reload and do automatic fire at medium range. That was nice too. All right, and then the last one, long range. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. All right, this is a really great long range build for this particular weapon. You're probably not going to use this build in a whole lot of circumstances, but again, maybe you're trying to complete some challenges that involve that, and so you're really going to be sitting back more than running and gunning with this build. But I hope you enjoy this. If you do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.